New update. They made us laugh, cry, and believe in magic, yet behind the fame, some of the world's most legendary stars are quietly fighting for their lives. From silver screen icons to music legends, many of your favorite celebrities are battling deadly illnesses that few ever talk about. You think you know their stories? Think again. What's happening behind the spotlight will leave you speechless. Stay until the end because some of these names will truly shock you. This is Legends of Black Excellence, and today we reveal 50-plus famous actors who are dying and you didn't know the new update. Mel Brooks. At the remarkable age of 99, Mel Brooks remains one of the most enduring voices in American entertainment. Born Melvin Kaminsky on June 28, 1926 in Brooklyn, he climbed from humble beginnings to redefine comedy in film and television. His fearless humor in The Producer's Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein turned him into a pioneer of satirical genius. Behind the laughter, however, Brooks now faces a quiet struggle with emphysema, a respiratory illness that has limited his public appearances but not his spirit. Even in frailty, he carries the same spark that once filled theaters with unstoppable laughter. Each breath may come harder now, yet his ability to uplift others remains undiminished. In private life, Brooks has retreated from the spotlight but continues to inspire through his wit and wisdom. Friends say his days are spent surrounded by family recalling stories of Hollywood's golden years and his creative triumphs with legends like Gene Wilder and Madeline Kahn. He has openly shared that humor for him has always been a shield, a way to endure loss, age, and pain. Though his body weakens, his mind dances with the rhythm of a man who has lived fully and loved deeply. Every word he speaks carries both nostalgia and light-hearted defiance, the essence of a performer who never stops performing. Mel Brooks's life reminds us that brilliance doesn't fade, it evolves. He transformed comedy into art, laughter into legacy, and time into testament. As he nears a century, his resilience stands as a lesson in courage and creativity. The world may see him as a fading icon, but for those who still smile at his jokes, he remains immortal, a symbol of humor's power to outlive even the body itself. William Shatner. At 94, William Shatner remains one of Hollywood's most enduring legends. Born on March 22, 1931 in Montreal, Canada, he became a household name through his portrayal of Captain James T. Kirk in Star Trek, a role that changed science fiction forever. His career spans over 7 decades, crossing television, film, music, and even space itself when he became the oldest person to travel beyond Earth's atmosphere aboard Blue Origin's New Shepard in 2021. Behind the achievements, however, lies a story of resilience. In recent years, Shatner has quietly battled stage 4 melanoma and issues with blood sugar regulation, yet he continues to defy the odds, still lending his voice to documentaries and making rare, heartfelt appearances. Those close to Shatner describe him as fiercely independent, often dismissing talk of retirement. His energy, even in his 90s, remains almost otherworldly. Despite health struggles, he has maintained a sharp wit and unmistakable charisma, the same qualities that made Star Trek's Captain Kirk a symbol of exploration and courage. Shatner has also become reflective in interviews, speaking candidly about mortality and gratitude. In his 2022 memoir, Boldly Go, he wrote of his awareness of life's fragility, urging fans to cherish curiosity and kindness before the final frontier. While time has inevitably slowed him, Shatner's legacy continues to expand like the universe he once commanded on screen. His voice still narrates new projects, his humor still lights up talk shows, and his optimism remains infectious. For millions who grew up watching him chart the stars, William Shatner is not fading, he's transforming. His story is not one of decline, but of endurance proof, that even as the body weakens, the spirit can remain limitless. Clint Eastwood. At 95, Clint Eastwood stands as one of cinema's most enduring icons, a man whose silence could command more attention than another's speech. Born on May 31, 1930 in San Francisco, he rose from small television roles to become the face of American grit through classics like The Good, the Bad, and The Ugly Dirty Harry and Unforgiven. Known for his piercing gaze and stoic delivery, Eastwood redefined masculinity on screen. Yet behind the legend lies a man quietly confronting the frailty of time. Once celebrated for his rugged strength, he is now noticeably thinner and slower, a stark reminder that even the strongest heroes are not immune to aging. Despite his declining health, he continues to live independently, a testament to the discipline and endurance that shaped both his characters and his life. In recent years, Eastwood has shifted from acting to contemplative storytelling, directing films that explore justice, redemption, and legacy. His 2021 drama, Cry Macho, marked what many believe to be his farewell to acting, though he never officially declared retirement. Those who know him say he still visits film sets and studios, driven by the same creative fire that defined his career for over 6 decades. Though frail, his mind remains sharp and his sense of purpose unbroken. A man who has seen fame, controversy, and history, yet remains unapologetically himself. Eastwood's journey is more than Hollywood history. It is a study in perseverance. He reminds us that mortality does not diminish greatness, it deepens it. As fans revisit his iconic films, they don't just see an actor or a director. They see the spirit of resilience personified. Clint Eastwood may be aging, but the myth he built will ride on untamed, unyielding, and unforgettable. Dick Van Dyke. At 99 years old, Dick Van Dyke remains a living bridge between Hollywood's golden age and today's entertainment world. Born on December 13, 1925 in Missouri, he first captured America's heart with his effortless charm, quick wit, and signature grin. From The Dick Van Dyke Show to Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, he became the face of joy, optimism, and timeless talent. Even now, nearly a century later, his laughter still echoes in living rooms across generations. Though age has slowed his steps and frailty shows in his once boundless energy, Van Dyke's spirit remains unbroken. After surviving past struggles with alcoholism and a near-fatal car accident, he continues to defy time with remarkable resilience. In recent years, Van Dyke has spoken openly about the blessings and challenges of growing old. Despite minor injuries and the natural toll of age, he keeps an upbeat outlook, often reminding fans that motion is life. His wife, Arlene Silver, more than 40 years his junior, has been a steady companion, helping him maintain a routine filled with humor, music, and light exercise. In 2021, he stunned audiences by performing a dance number at the Kennedy Center Honors, proof that joy remains his lifelong fuel. Each appearance feels like a love letter to the audience who grew up watching him tap, sing, and smile his way into legend. Dick Van Dyke's story isn't one of decline, but of enduring vitality. While his health requires care, his optimism continues to inspire a world that still hums his songs and treasures his laughter. As he approaches a century of life, he stands not as a fading star, but as a beacon of positivity, a reminder that the power of happiness can outshine even the passing of time. William Daniels. At 98, William Daniels stands as one of television's most respected and beloved veterans. Born on March 31, 1927 in Brooklyn, New York, Daniels built a career defined by integrity, intelligence, and quiet strength. To some, he will forever be remembered as Dr. Mark Craig in St. Elsewhere, a performance that earned him 2 Emmy Awards. To others, he is the wise, steady voice of Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World, guiding generations with lessons about kindness, honesty, and perseverance. Yet behind the calm authority that made him a household name, Daniels now faces the slow and painful erosion of memory brought on by Alzheimer's disease. Though his public appearances have become rare, his presence in the hearts of fans remains as strong as ever. Throughout his long life, Daniels has embodied professionalism and humility. Married to actress Bonnie Bartlett for over 7 decades, the couple became symbols of enduring love in an industry often marked by transience. Even as illness gradually dims his once brilliant clarity, Bartlett remains his constant support, attending events by his side and celebrating his legacy with quiet dignity. Friends describe him as gentle and deeply reflective, still capable of sharing humor and warmth in lucid moments that remind everyone of the teacher and doctor who shaped so many screens. William Daniels' story is not one of tragedy, but of gratitude and endurance. His career spans more than 70 years, touching both stage and television with grace. While time and illness may have slowed his speech, they cannot silence the wisdom he imparted through decades of storytelling. As audiences revisit his performances, they see not just an actor, but a mentor whose spirit continues to educate and inspire, proving that true greatness transcends both fame and frailty. Robert Wagner. At 95, Robert Wagner remains one of the last gentlemen of Hollywood's classic era. Born on February 10, 1930, in Detroit, Michigan, he rose to stardom in the 1950s with a string of romantic dramas and thrillers that showcased his elegance and charm. His performances in A Kiss Before Dying, Heart to Heart, and The Pink Panther made him a symbol of sophistication and warmth both on and off the screen. Today, however, Wagner's once dashing figure has given way to fragility as he quietly battles the challenges of dementia. Though his memory fades and his world grows smaller, the legacy he built across 7 decades continues to shine through the generations who grew up watching his work. Those close to Wagner describe him as gentle and gracious in his later years, surrounded by family and love. His wife, actress Jill St. John, has remained steadfast by his side, ensuring that his days are filled with comfort and familiarity. Friends and former co-stars often recall his professionalism and old-school manners, the kind of courtesy that defined Hollywood's golden age. Once a fixture at public events, Wagner now leads a quieter life, occasionally making appearances that remind fans of the poise and dignity that always set him apart. Behind the scenes, he is said to enjoy music and family memories even as time slowly steals them away. Robert Wagner's journey is a poignant reflection of a life lived fully both in front of and beyond the camera. Though illness has dimmed the light of his presence, it cannot erase the charisma that made him unforgettable. His story reminds us that greatness is not only in the fame we achieve, but in the grace with which we face life's inevitable twilight. Michael Caine. At 92, Sir Michael Caine remains the embodiment of British cinema's enduring brilliance. Born Maurice Joseph Micklewhite Jr. on March 14, 1933, in London's working-class Southwark district, he rose from humble beginnings to become one of the world's most admired actors. With a career spanning more than 70 years, Caine has appeared in over 160 films, from The Italian Job and Alfie to the Dark Knight trilogy, earning 2 Academy Awards and universal respect for his authenticity and quiet power. Yet beyond the glamour of red carpets and the applause of generations, he now faces the realities of aging. Having retired in 2023, Caine publicly shared that he suffers from spinal stenosis, a painful condition that affects mobility and balance. Despite this, he continues to approach life with humility, humor, and the same unshakable poise that defined his art. Caine's later years have been marked by reflection rather than retreat. In interviews, he often speaks about family faith and gratitude, emphasizing how his wife Shakira and their children remain the anchors of his life. He has traded film sets for quiet mornings and simple joys, content to let his legacy speak for itself. Even as he walks with a cane and avoids public events, his mind remains razor-sharp, his voice still carrying the unmistakable gravelly charm that made audiences believe every word he spoke. For fans around the world, Michael Caine's story is one of perseverance and grace. His journey from the London slums to cinematic royalty stands as proof that talent and hard work can defy any limitation. Though time has slowed his step, it has not dimmed his light. His wisdom, warmth, and unwavering spirit ensure that even as his body weakens, his legacy will remain timeless, a portrait of dignity, courage, and art that will never fade. Alan Alda. At 89, Alan Alda continues to embody the rare blend of intellect, humor, and heart that made him one of television's most beloved figures. Born on January 28, 1936 in New York City, Alda rose to fame as the compassionate and quick-witted Captain Benjamin Hawkeye Pierce in MASH. a role that not only earned him 6 Emmy Awards, but also redefined what television storytelling could be. Behind the laughter and the charm, however, Alda has faced a quiet personal battle with Parkinson's disease since revealing his diagnosis in 2018. The tremors and stiffness that accompany the illness have challenged his physical ease, yet his mind, wit, and curiosity remain astonishingly vibrant proof that the spirit of Hawkeye still lives within him. Far from retreating, Alda has used his diagnosis as a platform to inspire others. Through his Clear Plus Vivid podcast and the Alan Alda Center for Communicating Science, he continues to champion empathy and understanding in communication, a mission that reflects both his intellect and his humanity. In interviews, Alda often emphasizes optimism over despair, sharing that staying active and engaged is his way of fighting back. He fences boxes and practices balance exercises daily, showing that resilience is not the absence of struggle, but the determination to move forward despite it. Alan Alda's legacy reaches beyond acting. It resides in the kindness and clarity he brings to every pursuit. His performances taught audiences to laugh amid chaos and care amid conflict. Today, though illness has slowed his body, his vision and integrity remain untouched. Alda reminds us that the truest measure of strength lies not in denying vulnerability, but in meeting it with courage, humor, and a heart still wide open to life. Jack Nicholson. At 88, Jack Nicholson remains one of the most magnetic figures Hollywood has ever produced. A man whose presence alone could electrify the screen. Born on April 22, 1937 in Neptune City, New Jersey, Nicholson redefined acting with his intensity, mischief, and psychological depth. From One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Shining to A Few Good Men and As Good as It Gets, he created characters that were both terrifying and deeply human. But in recent years, the legendary actor has quietly retreated from public life, as reports confirm he is battling cognitive decline and symptoms of dementia. Once a fixture courtside at Lakers games and red carpet premieres, Nicholson now lives a reclusive life in his Los Angeles home surrounded by family and a small circle of close friends. Though frailty has replaced the wild energy that once defined him, Nicholson's legacy burns brighter than ever. He officially stepped away from acting after his 2010 film How Do You Know, citing memory loss that made line memorization difficult. Friends describe him as nostalgic, yet content, often reminiscing about his remarkable career and the filmmakers who shaped it. His charisma, humor, and irreverence remain intact, the same traits that made him one of the last true rebels of Hollywood's golden age. Those who know him best say he still flashes that unmistakable grin, a reminder of the man who could command a room with a glance. Jack Nicholson's story is both poignant and powerful, a reflection of a life lived with fearless creativity. Though illness may have dimmed his public presence, his performances continue to roar across generations. Each line he delivered, each role he inhabited, remains etched into cinematic history. Time may claim the man, but the legend of Jack Nicholson, bold, complex, and untamed, will never fade. Morgan Freeman. At 88, Morgan Freeman continues to stand as one of the most commanding and soulful voices in cinema history. Born on June 1, 1937 in Memphis, Tennessee, he spent years climbing from modest beginnings to become a symbol of wisdom, strength, and calm authority. With unforgettable performances in The Shawshank Redemption, Driving Miss Daisy, Million Dollar Baby, and Invictus, Freeman earned his place among Hollywood's most revered figures. Yet beyond the gravitas of his deep voice and dignified demeanor, he lives with the daily pain of fibromyalgia, a chronic condition causing widespread muscle tenderness and fatigue, the result of severe nerve damage sustained after a car accident in 2008. Despite the constant discomfort, Freeman continues to work, showing the same resilience and grace that made him a legend. Though he no longer takes on physically demanding roles, Freeman remains an active force in entertainment. His recent appearances in documentaries and narrations reflect his enduring passion for storytelling. He has often said that his work gives him purpose, that the voice must speak even when the body slows. Friends describe him as stoic but optimistic, managing his condition through therapy meditation and an unwavering belief in discipline. Even as his left hand remains partially paralyzed, he refuses to let pain define him. Instead, he channels it into empathy and understanding, qualities that resonate through every role he plays. Morgan Freeman's journey reminds the world that true power lies not in perfection, but in persistence. He continues to inspire millions by embodying quiet strength and emotional depth. His words, both on screen and off, carry a timeless truth. Courage isn't the absence of suffering, but the choice to rise above it. Though age and illness may challenge his body, his voice, spirit, and legacy remain eternal. Tommy Chong. At 87, Tommy Chong remains one of comedy's most fearless survivors, a man whose laughter has outlasted both hardship and time. Born on May 24, 1938 in Edmonton, Canada, Chong first rose to fame as half of the counterculture duo Cheech and Chong, whose stoner comedies like Up in Smoke and Nice Dreams became cult sensations in the 1970s. His laid-back humor, wild hair, and free-spirited outlook made him a symbol of rebellion and joy. But behind the laughter, Chong has faced a series of grueling health battles, surviving both prostate cancer and colorectal cancer. Diagnosed in the 2010s, he endured surgery, radiation, and alternative treatments, yet his trademark wit never wavered. Today, though physically slowed, he remains a vibrant advocate for cannabis legalization and a living example of resilience through positivity. Chong's road to recovery has been anything but conventional. He has openly credited meditation, veganism, and medicinal marijuana for helping him manage pain and regain strength. Rather than retreat, he's turned his experience into activism, using his platform to promote awareness about cancer prevention and holistic health. Even as he continues to monitor his condition closely, he speaks candidly about the gratitude that illness brought him. "Cancer didn't kill me," he once said. "It woke me up." That sense of humor and spiritual clarity has made him not just a comedian, but a voice of endurance for those fighting their own unseen battles. More than 5 decades after lighting up Hollywood screens with laughter, Tommy Chong remains an icon of counterculture and courage. He has transformed personal suffering into purpose, turning pain into punchlines and fear into faith. Though his body bears the marks of age and illness, his heart, rebellious, joyful, and full of light, continues to burn brighter than ever. Anthony Hopkins. At 87, Sir Anthony Hopkins remains one of the most celebrated and enigmatic figures in cinema. Born on December 31, 1937 in Port Talbot, Wales, Hopkins transformed himself from a shy, introspective child into one of the greatest actors of his generation. His chilling performance as Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs earned him an Academy Award and solidified his place among Hollywood's elite. Yet behind his brilliance lies a deeply human struggle, the challenges of aging and openly living with Asperger's syndrome, a condition that affects social communication and sensory processing. Far from hiding it, Hopkins has embraced his neurodiversity, explaining that it gives him focused discipline and an unparalleled ability to lose himself in his roles. In recent years, Hopkins has spoken candidly about the peace he has found in solitude and the clarity that comes with age. He paints daily, plays the piano, and shares glimpses of his quiet life on social media, radiating gratitude rather than regret. His diagnosis hasn't hindered his artistry. In fact, it seems to have deepened it. In 2021, at the age of 83, he won his second Oscar for The Father, a heartbreaking portrayal of dementia that mirrored his own reflections on mortality and memory. That performance, both devastating and transcendent, became a masterclass in emotional truth from a man who continues to confront life with honesty and courage. Anthony Hopkins' story is not one of decline, but of evolution. He reminds us that genius does not fade. It transforms, refined by experience and self-awareness. Though time has slowed his movements, his mind and soul remain radiant. Hopkins continues to inspire millions, not just as an actor, but as a philosopher of life. A man who turns pain into art and silence into strength. Ian McKellen. At 86, Sir Ian McKellen remains one of Britain's most cherished performers, a man whose voice presence and passion have defined generations of stage and screen. Born on May 25, 1939 in Burnley, England, McKellen's career spans more than 6 decades, from Shakespearean theatre to global stardom in the Lord of the Rings and X-Men franchises. Yet behind the brilliance and wit that captivate audiences lies a quieter, deeply personal battle. McKellen revealed in past interviews that he was diagnosed with early-stage prostate cancer in 2006. Though treated successfully and closely monitored, the experience gave him a profound awareness of mortality. Despite the illness and the natural slowing of age, his spirit remains fierce, his humor razor-sharp, and his dedication to performance unwavering. Unlike many of his contemporaries, McKellen has never retired. He continues to perform on stage, captivating audiences with the same gravitas that made Gandalf and Magneto unforgettable. His recent appearances in London's West End, including Mother Goose in 2022, proved that time has done little to dull his magnetism. Even as frailty occasionally shows, he approaches life and art with gratitude, often crediting his work for keeping him alive and alert. Friends describe him as endlessly curious, a man who still finds joy in laughter, conversation, and the thrill of stepping into a new role. Ian McKellen's story is one of courage, creativity, and enduring light. His openness about aging and illness reminds fans that vulnerability is not weakness, but wisdom earned. Though his body may slow, his artistry continues to evolve, profound, fearless, and timeless. For millions who have watched him bring magic to life, McKellen is more than an actor. He is a living legend, proof that even in the twilight of life, greatness continues to shine. Francis Ford Coppola. At 86, Francis Ford Coppola remains one of the last true architects of modern cinema, a visionary whose work reshaped storytelling forever. Born on April 7, 1939 in Detroit, Michigan, Coppola's name is synonymous with the Godfather trilogy, Apocalypse Now, and the conversation films that transformed Hollywood into an art form. Behind the acclaim and the Oscars, however, lies a lifetime of personal and physical challenges. Stricken with polio as a child, Coppola spent nearly a year paralyzed, confined to bed, while imagining stories that would later become cinematic history. That early battle against weakness forged the resilience that would define his career. Today, though, age has softened his stride and health concerns accompany his years, his creative flame burns as brightly as ever. Even now, Coppola refuses to rest on legacy. In his late 80s, he continues to work tirelessly on his long-awaited passion project, Megalopolis, a film he has dreamed of making for decades. Those close to him describe his energy as astonishing, the same restless curiosity that once led him to reinvent the language of cinema still drives him forward. While many of his contemporaries have retired, Coppola remains a craftsman obsessed with meaning, beauty, and legacy. His focus has shifted from fame to family, mentoring his children, Sophia and Roman, both acclaimed filmmakers in their own right, ensuring that the Coppola name endures across generations. Francis Ford Coppola's journey is one of endurance, vision, and heart. Though his body may carry the marks of time, his mind remains an empire of imagination. For audiences worldwide, he stands as proof that true artists never fade, they evolve. In every frame he's created and every dream yet to come, Coppola continues to remind the world that cinema, like life, is most powerful when born from struggle and passion. James Cromwell. At 85, James Cromwell stands as one of the most respected character actors in Hollywood. A man whose quiet power and moral conviction have shaped film and television for over 5 decades. Born on January 27, 1940 in Los Angeles, California, Cromwell grew up in the shadow of the entertainment world, yet carved out a career uniquely his own. His breakthrough came with the 1995 classic Babe, where his tender portrayal of Farmer Hoggett earned him an Academy Award nomination and captured hearts worldwide. Since then, he has delivered unforgettable performances in L.A., Confidential, The Green Mile, and Succession. Behind the camera, however, Cromwell has faced a slower, more personal struggle dealing with lingering memory loss and health complications reportedly linked to long COVID. Though his energy has waned, his dedication to truth and activism remains as fierce as ever. In recent years, Cromwell has focused less on acting and more on advocacy. A passionate environmentalist and animal rights defender, he has been arrested multiple times for peaceful protest, unafraid to risk reputation for his beliefs. Friends describe him as principled, introspective, and remarkably humble, the same qualities that make his screen presence so compelling. Despite health setbacks, he continues to lend his voice to causes that matter, using his fame not for vanity, but for purpose. His resilience, even as he copes with aging and fatigue, reflects a spirit that refuses to yield. James Cromwell's story is not one of decline, but of conviction. He reminds the world that greatness isn't only measured in awards or applause, but in the courage to stay true to one's values. As his body slows, his conscience remains unshakable, a symbol of integrity and endurance in a world too often driven by noise. His light may dim with age, but it burns with meaning. Neil Diamond. At 84, Neil Diamond remains one of the most beloved voices in American music, a poet of emotion whose songs have become anthems of love, hope, and nostalgia. Born on January 24, 1941 in Brooklyn, New York, Diamond rose from modest beginnings to global stardom, writing timeless hits like Sweet Caroline, Cracklin' Rosie, and Hello Again. His baritone voice, both strong and soothing, became the soundtrack to countless lives. But behind the applause and sold-out arenas, Diamond has faced a life-altering challenge in 2018. He revealed that he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, forcing him to retire from touring. The illness, which affects movement and coordination, marked the end of his decades-long life on the road, yet it did not silence his artistry or his heart. In the years since his diagnosis, Diamond has embraced a quieter existence, focusing on songwriting, family, and reflection. He has described his illness not as a curse, but as a new rhythm to live by. His honesty and courage have inspired millions of fans and fellow musicians. In 2023, he made a rare public appearance at the opening of A Beautiful Noise, the Broadway musical about his life-stunning audiences, with a spontaneous rendition of Sweet Caroline. Though visibly frail, his voice carried the same warmth and sincerity that defined his entire career, a moment that brought both tears and cheers. Neil Diamond's story is one of endurance and grace. Even as his body weakens, his spirit remains unshaken. His songs continue to echo across generations, reminding the world that art can transcend illness and time. Parkinson's may have stilled his movements, but it has not taken away his melody. In every note he ever sang, Diamond left a piece of his soul, and that truly will never fade. Harrison Ford. At 83, Harrison Ford remains a symbol of rugged heroism and timeless charisma. A man who has spent over half a century defining adventure itself. Born on July 13, 1942 in Chicago, Illinois, Ford's rise to stardom is the stuff of Hollywood legend. His roles as Han Solo in Star Wars and Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark made him one of the most iconic actors in cinema history. Beneath that stoic, fearless image, however, Ford faces his own very human challenge, living with Parkinson's disease, a condition that affects movement and coordination. Though he has not spoken publicly in detail about the illness, those close to him confirm that he manages it privately and with quiet determination, continuing to embody strength even as age and health weigh on him. Despite his diagnosis, Ford has refused to slow down. In 2023, he reprised his legendary role in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, performing many of his own stunts and reminding audiences why he remains one of film's greatest leading men. His commitment to storytelling and authenticity has never wavered, a reflection of the same grit that carried his characters through danger and doubt. Away from the spotlight, he leads a grounded life with his wife actress Callista Flockhart, splitting time between Los Angeles and his ranch in Wyoming. Even as his health demands caution, he still flies his own plains hikes and advocates for environmental conservation. Harrison Ford's journey is one of courage both on and off screen. Though the years have carved lines into his face, they've only deepened the gravitas of his presence. He remains a true Hollywood original, weathered but unbroken, proving that heroism isn't about defeating fear, but living boldly in spite of it. Christopher Walken. At 82, Christopher Walken remains one of cinema's most enigmatic and unforgettable figures, a performer whose every glance and pause carries a peculiar brilliance. Born on March 31, 1943 in Queens, New York, Walken began performing as a child actor and dancer before evolving into one of Hollywood's most distinctive talents. With his haunting voice, hypnotic rhythm, and unpredictable energy, he has delivered unforgettable performances in films like The Deer Hunter, Catch Me If You Can, and Pulp Fiction. Yet beyond the eccentric genius seen on screen, Walken faces a quieter struggle in private life, the persistent pain of arthritis in his hands, a condition that has subtly limited his dexterity and movement over the years. Even so, his spirit remains undiminished, a true artist who continues to approach his craft with discipline, humor, and elegance. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Walken has never been driven by fame or glamour. He leads a modest life away from Hollywood's spotlight, living with his wife of over 50 years, Georgianne, in rural Connecticut. Despite the physical challenges that come with age, he still acts regularly, most recently appearing in acclaimed television series like Severance and films such as Wild Mountain Thyme. Friends and collaborators describe him as quietly intense, a man who still rehearses meticulously, never taking a role lightly, even in his 8th decade. His hands may ache, but his creativity and curiosity remain as sharp as ever. Christopher Walken's legacy is not built merely on performance, but on presence. His ability to turn awkward silence into art and eccentricity into poetry makes him one of the rarest treasures in modern cinema. Though arthritis and time have slowed his movement, nothing has dimmed his light. Walken continues to defy expectation, strange, soulful, and utterly timeless. Bobby Sherman. At 82, Bobby Sherman remains a beloved name from the golden age of television and pop music, a star whose boyish charm once lit up living rooms and concert halls across America. Born on July 22, 1943 in Santa Monica, California, Sherman rose to fame in the late 1960s, with his breakout role on Here Come the Brides, and a string of chart-topping hits, including Little Woman and Julie, Do You Love Me? His wholesome image and warm smile made him a teen idol adored by millions. Yet behind the timeless grin that defined a generation, Sherman now faces one of life's toughest battles, stage 4 kidney cancer. Despite the seriousness of his condition, those close to him describe a man filled with gratitude, strength, and quiet acceptance, still embodying the kindness that once made him America's sweetheart. Sherman's life took a remarkable turn after his entertainment career. In the 1980s, he left the spotlight to serve others, becoming an emergency medical technician, and later a police officer, dedicating decades to saving lives. That same compassion and sense of duty have guided him through his health struggles today. Although his illness has confined him largely to home friends, his positivity remains unwavering. Surrounded by his family, he continues to express appreciation for the fans who never forgot him, often saying that their love is what keeps him going. Bobby Sherman's story is one of courage and grace. Once a heartthrob and entertainer, now a quiet hero facing life's final act with dignity, he proves that true greatness lies not in fame, but in humanity. Though cancer may have weakened his body, it has not touched the purity of his spirit. For millions who still remember his music and smile, Bobby Sherman remains a symbol of love, resilience, and enduring light. Chevy Chase. At 81, Chevy Chase remains one of America's most iconic comedians, a man whose wit, timing, and irreverent charm helped define an entire generation of laughter. Born on October 8, 1943 in New York City, Chase rose to fame as one of the original cast members of Saturday Night Live in the 1970s, where his Weekend Update segment redefined TV satire. He went on to star in beloved classics such as National Lampoon's Vacation Caddyshack and Fletch, cementing his place in comedy history. Yet behind the sharp humor and trademark smirk, Chase has faced serious health struggles in recent years, including a near-fatal heart failure in 2021 that left him hospitalized for weeks. The once boundless energy that fueled his comedy has slowed, but the spirit that made him a legend still burns bright. Following his health scare, Chase has spoken candidly about recovery and aging. He admitted the experience forced him to confront his mortality and reevaluate what truly matters. Though he walks more carefully and tires more easily, he remains active, appearing at fan conventions and film retrospectives where he's greeted with love and nostalgia. Those who know him describe a man who has mellowed with time, still funny, still sharp, but with a deeper sense of appreciation for the career and fans that have sustained him. His humor now carries a touch of wisdom shaped by both triumph and fragility. Chevy Chase's journey is a reminder that laughter, even when born of pain, has the power to heal. From his groundbreaking sketches to his unforgettable film roles, he continues to bring joy to audiences around the world. Though his heart once faltered, his comedic legacy beats on strong, resilient, and everlasting, much like the laughter he gave so freely. Michael Douglas. At 80, Michael Douglas remains one of Hollywood's most respected and enduring stars. A man whose career has spanned more than 5 decades of remarkable performances and personal resilience. Born on September 25, 1944, in New Brunswick, New Jersey, he inherited his talent from his legendary father, Kirk Douglas, yet forged his own path with intelligence and intensity. From Wall Street and Fatal Attraction to Basic Instinct and Behind the Candelabra, Douglas has delivered some of the most memorable characters in modern cinema. But behind his polished charm and commanding screen presence lies a survivor's story. In 2010, Douglas was diagnosed with oropharyngeal cancer, a form of throat cancer caused by HPV. After months of grueling chemotherapy and radiation, he emerged cancer-free, though the battle left lasting marks on his health and voice. Since his recovery, Douglas has remained candid about his illness and its impact, often describing it as a turning point that reshaped his priorities. He continues to monitor his health closely while maintaining a steady presence in Hollywood. His later work in The Kominsky Method and Ant-Man has shown not just his adaptability, but his unshakable dedication to storytelling. Off-screen, he finds strength in family, in his enduring marriage to Catherine Zeta-Jones and his deep bond with their children. Friends and colleagues describe him as reflective, grateful, and fiercely determined, a man who no longer takes a single day for granted. Michael Douglas's journey is one of triumph over adversity. He stands as living proof that courage can coexist with vulnerability and that survival itself can be a form of artistry. Though age and illness have tested him, they have also revealed his humanity more clearly than ever. His voice may carry the scars of his struggle, but his legacy speaks louder of endurance, grace, and a life fully lived. Danny DeVito. At 80, Danny DeVito remains one of Hollywood's most beloved and instantly recognizable figures, a master of comedy whose warmth and wit have made him a household name for generations. Born on November 17, 1944 in Neptune Township, New Jersey, DeVito's rise from humble beginnings to international stardom is a story of pure tenacity. Standing at just under 5 feet tall, due to a rare genetic condition known as multiple epiphyseal dysplasia, which affects bone growth and joint health, DeVito turned what others saw as a limitation into his greatest strength. His unforgettable performances in Taxi Twins, Matilda, and Batman Returns showcased his fearless humor, creative energy, and larger-than-life personality. But as he has aged, his lifelong skeletal condition has taken a toll, leaving him with chronic pain and restricted mobility. Despite physical challenges, DeVito refuses to slow down. He continues to act direct and produce, proving that passion can outlast even the body's limits. His long-running role as Frank Reynolds on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia demonstrates his undimmed comedic genius, crude, unpredictable, yet strangely endearing. Off-screen, DeVito is known for his sharp intellect and humanitarian spirit, often lending his voice to social and political causes. Friends describe him as resilient and deeply loyal, with a quick laugh that fills every room he enters. Though health issues occasionally keep him from the spotlight, his humor and creative drive remain unshaken. Danny DeVito's story is one of triumph through self-acceptance and perseverance. He has built a career not by hiding his differences, but by celebrating them. Even as time and illness weigh on him, his brilliance continues to inspire. In a world that often prizes perfection, DeVito reminds us that greatness can come in any form, and that laughter above all is eternal. Tim Curry. At 79, Tim Curry remains a cherished icon of stage and screen, a performer whose voice charisma and daring originality helped shape modern pop culture. Born on April 19, 1946 in Cheshire, England, Curry first rose to fame with his groundbreaking role as Dr. Frank-N-Furter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, 1975, a cult phenomenon that shattered conventions and celebrated individuality. His remarkable versatility later shone through in Annie Clue-It and countless animated features where his unmistakable voice brought villains and eccentrics to life. Yet behind his brilliant artistry lies a story of immense resilience. In 2012, Curry suffered a major stroke that left him partially paralyzed and confined to a wheelchair. While the stroke ended his stage career, it did not silence his humor strength or love for performance. In the years since his stroke, Curry has continued to defy expectations. Though his mobility is limited and speech slowed, he remains active in voice acting, lending his distinct tone to films, games, and audiobooks. Fans who have met him at conventions describe a man still full of wit and warmth, often greeting admirers with his trademark mischievous grin. His courage in facing physical limitations has inspired countless people living with disability and illness. He often expresses gratitude for the support of loyal fans who have followed him from Rocky Horror's rebellious stages to Hollywood's grandest screens. Tim Curry's journey is one of extraordinary talent and unbreakable spirit. Though his body bears the scars of struggle, his creativity remains boundless. He continues to embody resilience, showing that art and laughter can outlive pain. For audiences worldwide, Curry is more than a performer. He is proof that even when life rewrites the script, the show can still go on with grace, humor, and heart. Sylvester Stallone. At 79, Sylvester Stallone remains one of Hollywood's most enduring and inspirational figures. A man who built a career on grit, perseverance, and the power of the human spirit. Born on July 6, 1946 in New York City, Stallone rose from poverty and countless rejections to global fame with Rocky, 1976, a film he wrote, starred in, and fought to make on his own terms. The underdog story mirrored his own life and earned him international admiration. Over the decades, Stallone became synonymous with determination through his roles as Rocky Balboa and John Rambo characters who embodied resilience and courage. But behind the cinematic hero stands a man quietly facing his own battles. Reports of partial paralysis and short-term memory loss have emerged, likely linked to years of intense physical stunts and old injuries sustained during filming. Despite these challenges, Stallone's drive remains unbroken. Even as age and health have slowed him, he continues to write, direct, and act. His recent work in Tulsa King and the Expendables franchise shows a veteran artist who refuses to quit channeling both pain and pride into his performances. Stallone has often spoken openly about the toll that fame loss and physical exhaustion have taken, yet he approaches life with humility and humor. Friends describe him as deeply reflective, a family man who finds strength in his daughters and his faith. His workouts are lighter now, his pace slower, but his fire, that unmistakable Stallone intensity, still burns. Sylvester Stallone's journey is not just one of success, but of survival. He has lived the story he wrote, fighting his way through adversity with fists, heart, and spirit. Though his body may carry the scars of time, his determination remains unstoppable. Stallone stands as living proof that true heroes never fade. They simply keep fighting one round at a time. Sam Neill. At 78, Sam Neill continues to embody grace, intelligence, and quiet strength both on and off the screen. Born on September 14, 1947 in Omagh, Northern Ireland, and raised in New Zealand, Neill's career has spanned more than 5 decades of international acclaim. Best known for his role as Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park, he became a beloved figure to audiences worldwide. Yet behind that familiar smile and calm demeanor lies a story of resilience and courage. In 2022, Neill revealed that he had been diagnosed with stage 3 angioimmunoblastic T-cell lymphoma, a rare and aggressive form of blood cancer. After undergoing chemotherapy and a groundbreaking experimental treatment, he entered remission, a hard-won victory that he continues to monitor closely. Rather than retreat, Neill has faced his illness with remarkable openness and humor. In his 2023 memoir, Did I Ever Tell You This?, he spoke candidly about his diagnosis, the fear it brought, and the unexpected gratitude that followed. He admitted that while death no longer frightens him, life has never felt more precious. Between treatments, he continues to work, recently appearing in projects like Apples Never Fall and Jurassic World Dominion. When not acting, he tends to his vineyard in New Zealand, finding peace in nature, family, and the simple joy of storytelling. Sam Neill's journey is a testament to endurance and perspective. He reminds the world that illness can strip away strength but not purpose. His humor, humility, and unwavering optimism have turned his personal battle into a beacon of hope for others facing similar trials. Though time and disease may test his body, his spirit remains luminous, a reminder that courage is not found in denial of fear, but in choosing to live fully in spite of it. Linda Ronstadt. At 78, Linda Ronstadt remains one of the most powerful and influential voices in American music, a woman whose artistry transcended genres and generations. Born on July 15, 1947 in Tucson, Arizona, she soared to fame in the 1970s as the queen of rock, delivering timeless hits like Blue Bayou, You're No Good and Don't Know Much. With 10 Grammy Awards and over 100 million records sold, her voice defined an era of authenticity and emotional depth. Yet behind the acclaim lies a story of profound struggle. In 2013, Ronstadt revealed that she could no longer sing due to a rare neurological disorder known as progressive supranuclear palsy (PSP), a degenerative disease that affects movement, speech, and balance. The diagnosis ended her ability to perform, silencing one of music's most exquisite voices. Ronstadt's condition has gradually limited her physical mobility, yet her mind and spirit remain remarkably sharp. Though she can no longer perform, she continues to inspire through interviews, documentaries, and her memoir, Simple Dreams. She often speaks about the beauty of music as memory, how melodies still live vividly in her mind, even if her voice can no longer release them. Surrounded by family in her California home, she spends her days reflecting, listening to music, and championing Latin and Mexican folk traditions that shaped her artistic identity. Friends describe her as witty, resilient, and unflinchingly honest, finding peace in acceptance rather than sorrow. Linda Ronstadt's story is both heartbreaking and transcendent. Though illness silenced her song, it has not diminished her legacy. Her courage in confronting PSP with grace and dignity reminds the world that artistry is not confined to performance. It is a spirit that endures. Even without a voice, Linda Ronstadt still sings through the hearts of those she's moved. Arnold Schwarzenegger. At 78, Arnold Schwarzenegger stands as one of the most iconic figures in global entertainment. A man whose life has been defined by strength, ambition, and reinvention. Born on July 30, 1947 in Thal, Austria, he transformed from a small-town bodybuilder into a 7-time Mr. Olympia champion, then conquered Hollywood with blockbuster roles in The Terminator, Predator, and Total Recall. His catchphrases became cultural landmarks, his physique the stuff of legend. Yet behind the indestructible image of the Austrian oak, Schwarzenegger has faced a series of serious health battles. For decades, he has lived with a congenital heart defect, a bicuspid aortic valve, which has required multiple surgeries, including a major procedure in 2020 to replace a heart valve. Each operation has been risky, yet each time he has emerged defiant, rebuilding himself with the same discipline that defined his extraordinary career. In recent years, Schwarzenegger has spoken openly about his health struggles, sharing his recovery journey to inspire others facing heart disease. He now prioritizes a vegan-leaning diet, regular exercise, and meditation, trading muscle mass for longevity and balance. While his once intense workouts have softened, his determination remains unshaken. Away from the spotlight, he devotes himself to environmental activism, philanthropy, and family life. Friends and fans alike describe him as more reflective, but still radiating the same charisma that made him a global phenomenon. Arnold Schwarzenegger's story is not one of decline, but of evolution. His battles with aging and heart complications reveal a man who has turned vulnerability into strength. From bodybuilding to Hollywood to politics, he has lived many lives and continues to face each new chapter with courage and humor. Though time has changed the legend, it has not conquered him. The heart that once fueled a global icon still beats with unyielding power. Elton John. At 78, Sir Elton John remains one of the most celebrated and enduring legends in music, a man whose songs have shaped the emotional soundtrack of generations. Born on March 25, 1947 in Pinner, England, Elton rose from a shy piano prodigy to a global superstar whose hits from Rocket Man and Your Song to Candle in the Wind defined the sound of the 20th century. With more than 300 million records sold, 2 Oscars, and 5 Grammy Awards, his achievements are unparalleled. Yet behind the glittering costumes and boundless charisma, Elton John has faced a lifetime of health challenges. In recent years, he has undergone treatment for prostate cancer, battled serious infections, and coped with gradual vision loss, all while maintaining an unbreakable spirit that refuses to dim. Elton's resilience has been as remarkable as his artistry. In 2017, he nearly lost his life to a rare bacterial infection, contracted during a South American tour, an ordeal that forced him to reevaluate his relentless schedule. Despite these setbacks, he completed his Farewell Yellow Brick Road tour, an emotional global farewell that became one of the highest-grossing tours in history. Today, he manages his health with care while focusing on philanthropy through the Elton John AIDS Foundation, which has raised over $500 million to fight HIV/AIDS worldwide. Friends describe him as more grounded and reflective than ever, balancing family life with his husband David Furnish and their 2 sons. Elton John's story is one of endurance, gratitude, and transformation. Though his health has tested him, his legacy remains untouchable. He taught the world that vulnerability and brilliance can coexist, that true greatness lies not in perfection, but in perseverance. Even as his body weakens, his music continues to soar, reminding us all that legends never truly fade. They simply keep playing. Kathy Bates. At 77, Kathy Bates remains one of Hollywood's most powerful and respected performers, a woman whose resilience, talent, and honesty have made her a true force in cinema. Born on June 28, 1948 in Memphis, Tennessee, Bates spent years perfecting her craft before achieving stardom with her unforgettable Oscar-winning performance as Annie Wilkes in Misery 1990. Her blend of intensity and vulnerability set her apart, earning acclaim in films like Fried Green Tomatoes, Titanic, and Dolores Claiborne, as well as in television series such as American Horror Story. But behind her fearless on-screen persona, Bates has faced a deeply personal battle with her health. A 2-time cancer survivor, she overcame ovarian cancer in 2003 and breast cancer in 2012, the latter leading to a double mastectomy. In addition, she now lives with lymphedema, a chronic condition caused by the removal of lymph nodes during treatment. Despite these challenges, Bates has chosen courage and advocacy over despair. She has become a passionate spokesperson for the Lymphatic Education and Research Network, using her platform to raise awareness for others living with the same condition. Though her illness sometimes causes swelling and fatigue, she refuses to let it slow her spirit. Known for her humor, warmth, and indomitable work ethic, Bates continues to act, bringing depth and humanity to every role she touches. In interviews, she often reminds fans that her scars are symbols of survival, not defeat. Kathy Bates's life stands as a testament to perseverance and strength. She has faced pain and uncertainty with remarkable grace, turning her struggles into sources of empathy and empowerment. Even as her body bears the marks of her battles, her artistry and courage remain unwavering. For millions who have admired her work, Kathy Bates is not merely an actress. She is a living example of resilience and triumph. Kathleen Turner. At 71, Kathleen Turner remains one of the most dynamic and commanding actresses of her generation. A woman whose strength, sensuality, and intelligence defined 1980s Hollywood. Born on June 19, 1954 in Springfield, Missouri, she exploded onto the scene with her seductive breakout in Body Heat 1981, followed by unforgettable performances in Romancing the Stone, Peggy Sue, Got Married, and Prizzi's Honor. Her smoky voice and fearless screen presence made her a symbol of empowered femininity in an era dominated by male leads. But behind her confident image, Turner has lived for decades with rheumatoid arthritis, a painful autoimmune disease that attacks the joints and causes chronic inflammation. Diagnosed in the early 1990s, the illness nearly ended her career, leaving her in constant pain and severely limiting her mobility. For years, Turner battled through physical agony and public misunderstanding as the effects of her medication altered her appearance, and tabloids speculated cruelly about her health. Yet through perseverance and treatment advances, she regained control of her life. Turner underwent physical therapy, adapted her work routines, and slowly returned to acting with renewed determination. She reinvented herself through stage performances, teaching, and activism, never allowing illness to silence her voice. Her portrayal of resilient, complex women, both on screen and on Broadway, continues to reflect her own spirit. Today, though she still lives with chronic pain, Kathleen Turner approaches life with humor, grace, and defiance. She has become an advocate for arthritis awareness and a mentor for young actors facing hardship. Her story transcends fame. It is one of endurance, transformation, and courage. Turner may move more slowly now, but her fire remains undimmed, proving that true power comes not from perfection, but from the will to keep standing tall through every storm. Bruce Willis. At 70, Bruce Willis remains one of cinema's most iconic action heroes, a man whose swagger, humor, and toughness redefined masculinity for an entire generation. Born on March 19, 1955 in Idar Oberstein, West Germany, Willis rose to fame as John McClane in Die Hard 1988, creating a franchise that transformed him from television actor to global superstar. With films like Pulp Fiction, The Sixth Sense, and Armageddon, he became synonymous with charisma and grit. Yet behind the fame and the fearless characters he portrayed, Willis has faced a devastating diagnosis: frontotemporal dementia, FTD, a rare and progressive brain disorder that affects speech behavior and memory. His family publicly revealed his condition in 2023, explaining that he could no longer continue acting after decades of shaping the modern action genre. The news stunned fans around the world who had watched Willis bring indestructible heroes to life for nearly 40 years. His wife, Emma Hemming Willis, along with his ex-wife Demi Moore and their children, have united to care for him with love and dignity. Friends describe his condition as gradually limiting his ability to communicate, but say he still recognizes his family and enjoys quiet moments surrounded by those who matter most. The actor who once ran through explosions and traded sharp one-liners now faces life with silence and stillness, a painful contrast, yet one filled with tenderness and peace. Bruce Willis's story is heartbreaking, but also deeply human. His courage and legacy endure in the countless roles that inspired audiences across generations. Though his voice has grown quiet, his impact remains thunderous. The man who embodied resilience on screen continues to teach it off screen, reminding us that even as words fade, love, art, and memory never truly disappear. Tom Hanks. At 69, Tom Hanks remains the heart and soul of American cinema, a storyteller whose warmth, integrity, and humanity have made him one of the most trusted faces on screen. Born on July 9, 1956 in Concord, California, Hanks began his career in light-hearted comedies before evolving into one of Hollywood's most respected dramatic actors, with unforgettable performances in Forrest Gump: Cast Away. Saving Private Ryan in Philadelphia, he became a symbol of decency and resilience, earning 2 Academy Awards and countless hearts. Yet behind his easygoing charm, Hanks has quietly faced his own battle with chronic illness. Type 2 diabetes, a condition he revealed publicly in 2013 after years of struggling with fluctuating weight and exhaustion. Though the disease demands constant management, Hanks has handled it with grace and openness, turning his health journey into a message of self-care and awareness. Hanks has since transformed his lifestyle, embracing exercise and nutrition to control his condition while continuing to work at an extraordinary pace. Even during the COVID-19 pandemic, when he and his wife Rita Wilson became among the first celebrities to test positive for the virus, Hanks approached the ordeal with characteristic calm and reassurance qualities that have always defined him. His health challenges have not dimmed his creative light. In recent years, he's continued to star in acclaimed films like A Man Called Otto and Elvis, as well as publishing his debut novel, The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece. Tom Hanks's journey reflects courage not through grand gestures, but through quiet perseverance. He shows the world that living with illness does not mean surrender. It means adaptation, mindfulness, and gratitude. Though time has added years and challenges, his optimism, compassion, and artistry endure, proving that true heroism often lives behind the simplest smile. Eric Roberts. At 69, Eric Roberts remains one of Hollywood's most prolific and complex performers. A man whose career has spanned decades of triumphs, turbulence, and transformation. Born on April 18, 1956 in Biloxi, Mississippi, Roberts burst onto the scene in the late 1970s with a rare combination of intensity and vulnerability. His breakout performance in Runaway Train earned him an Academy Award nomination and established him as one of the most promising actors of his generation. Yet behind the magnetic screen presence, Roberts has faced years of personal and health struggles, including a long battle with diabetes, a chronic condition that requires constant vigilance. Despite his diagnosis, he has managed to stay active, determined, and remarkably productive, appearing in hundreds of films and television shows across every genre imaginable. Roberts' journey has never been an easy one. His life was marked by a devastating car accident in 1981 that left him temporarily comatose and caused lasting damage to his body and memory. Combined with the challenges of managing diabetes, he has spent much of his later life balancing recovery with work. But what makes Roberts extraordinary is his refusal to fade. Known for his humility and sense of humor, he continues to act tirelessly, bringing a raw authenticity to every role, from small independent dramas to major studio productions. His perseverance has earned him renewed respect among peers and audiences alike. Today, Eric Roberts lives quietly with his wife, actress Eliza Roberts, focusing on health, spirituality, and gratitude. Though his body carries the marks of time and struggle, his creative fire burns undimmed. His story is one of endurance, a reminder that greatness often comes not from perfection, but from survival. For Roberts, acting is not just a career, it's a form of healing, proof that passion can outlast pain. Alec Baldwin. At 67, Alec Baldwin remains one of Hollywood's most versatile and controversial figures. An actor whose intensity, intelligence, and unmistakable voice have made him a staple of film, television, and theater for over 4 decades. Born on April 3, 1958 in Amityville, New York, Baldwin first rose to prominence in the 1980s with Beetlejuice and The Hunt for Red October, later becoming a household name for his Emmy-winning turn on 30 Rock and his sharp political impersonations on Saturday Night Live. Yet behind his confident persona and comedic brilliance, Baldwin has faced long-standing health and emotional battles. He has openly discussed his struggles with Lyme disease, obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD conditions that have tested his body and mind, but have not defeated his determination to keep moving forward. Baldwin's fight with Lyme disease began in the 1990s, after a tick bite left him with years of chronic fatigue, joint pain, and neurological symptoms. Coupled with mental health challenges, the illness forced him to reassess his lifestyle and priorities. He has since become vocal about the importance of mental wellness therapy and compassion, especially within an industry known for its relentless pace and pressure. Despite these struggles and the intense public scrutiny that has surrounded his recent personal and legal controversies, Baldwin continues to work channeling both his vulnerability and resilience into his performances. Today, Alec Baldwin lives with a deeper sense of perspective, focusing on his wife Hilaria and their children. Though age and illness have slowed him, his artistry remains powerful, his wit undiminished. His story is one of complexity and survival, proof that behind the fame and headlines lies a man still learning, still growing, and still fighting to find balance in a life lived under unrelenting light. Michael J. Fox. At 64, Michael J. Fox remains one of Hollywood's most beloved figures, a man whose courage has inspired millions far beyond the screen. Born on June 9, 1961, in Edmonton, Canada, Fox rose to fame as the quick-witted Marty McFly in Back to the Future, cementing his place in pop culture history. With roles in Family Tie's Spin City and a string of hit films, he became the face of youthful optimism in the 1980s and 90s. But at the height of his success, his life changed forever in 1991. At just 29, Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a progressive neurological disorder that affects movement and speech. For years, he kept his condition private, continuing to work, even as tremors and stiffness grew harder to hide. When he went public in 1998, he turned vulnerability into advocacy, forever transforming the way the world views illness and strength. Since stepping back from full-time acting, Fox has dedicated his life to finding a cure through the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, founded in 2000, he has helped raise over $2 billion toward treatment breakthroughs, making it one of the most effective charitable medical initiatives in history. Though his mobility has worsened and frequent falls have left him visibly frail, his spirit remains indomitable. He continues to make appearances, share his story with humor and honesty, and encourage others to accept life on life's terms. Michael J. Fox's journey is a powerful reminder that heroism often exists in quiet endurance. Parkinson's may have slowed his body, but it has never dimmed his optimism or his will to make the world better. His laughter, humility, and courage continue to move generations, proving that even when life rewrites the script, the heart of a true star never fades. Wendy Williams. At 61, Wendy Williams remains one of television's most talked about and influential personalities, a woman who built an empire on honesty, charisma, and fearless conversation. Born on July 18, 1964 in Asbury Park, New Jersey, Williams began her career as a bold and unapologetic radio host before transitioning to daytime television, where The Wendy Williams Show became a cultural phenomenon. Her candid style, sharp humor, and signature catchphrases like "How you doin'" made her a household name and an unmistakable voice in entertainment. But behind the glitz and fame, Williams has faced a heartbreaking series of health battles, including a diagnosis of frontotemporal dementia, FTD, and primary progressive aphasia conditions that affect language, cognition, and personality. These diagnoses, publicly confirmed by her care team in early 2024, explained years of visible decline, confusion, and emotional instability that had concerned fans and friends alike. For decades, Williams lived her life in the spotlight, often sharing her vulnerabilities with millions of viewers. She spoke openly about past struggles with Graves' disease, lymphedema, and addiction, all of which tested her body and spirit long before dementia entered the picture. Following her retirement from television in 2022, her health worsened and she was placed under guardianship for her safety and medical care. Those close to her say that while her communication and independence have diminished, she still recognizes familiar faces and responds warmly to kindness. The woman once known for her sharp tongue now speaks more softly, but her legacy of resilience remains strong. Wendy Williams's journey is one of brilliance shadowed by tragedy, yet even as her mind fades, her impact endures. She redefined the boundaries of daytime television and gave a voice to millions who felt unheard. Though illness has silenced her, show the power of her story, brave, flawed, and fiercely human, continues to echo across generations. Charlie Sheen. At 60, Charlie Sheen remains one of Hollywood's most complex and fascinating figures. A man whose life has swung between dazzling success and deep struggle. Born on September 3, 1965 in New York City, the son of acclaimed actor Martin Sheen, Charlie burst into fame in the 1980s with films like Platoon, Wall Street, and Major League. His sharp wit and natural charisma made him one of the most bankable stars of his era. Later, his role as the carefree bachelor Charlie Harper in 2.5 Men turned him into one of television's highest-paid actors. Yet behind the fame and laughter lay a life marked by addiction controversy and health battles. In 2015, Sheen revealed publicly that he had been living with HIV, a diagnosis he had kept private for nearly 4 years. The news shocked the world, but it also marked a turning point in his journey from chaos toward healing. Since sharing his diagnosis, Sheen has spoken candidly about his experience with antiretroviral therapy, crediting it with saving his life. His viral load is now undetectable, meaning the disease cannot be transmitted, a triumph of medical science and personal discipline. Alongside managing his condition, Sheen has also confronted substance abuse and mental health struggles, working to rebuild relationships and regain stability. His public image, once marred by scandal and excess, has softened into one of resilience and redemption. Today, Charlie Sheen leads a quieter, more grounded life focused on his family and well-being. He continues to act occasionally, but his greatest performance may be his commitment to survival. His story reminds the world that even the most turbulent lives can find peace. Though he once lived recklessly in the fast lane, Sheen now walks a humbler road, one defined not by fame but by gratitude, recovery, and the strength to keep going. Halle Berry. At 59, Halle Berry remains one of Hollywood's most radiant and groundbreaking stars, an actress whose beauty, strength, and talent helped redefine what it means to be a leading woman in film. Born on August 14, 1966 in Cleveland, Ohio, Berry began as a model before rising to international fame with films like Monsters Ball, Die Another Day, and X-Men. In 2002, she made history as the first black woman to win the Academy Award for Best Actress, a milestone that forever changed the landscape of Hollywood. Yet behind her grace and success lies a story of resilience and quiet battle. Berry has lived for decades with type 1 diabetes, a chronic condition that requires constant blood sugar monitoring and insulin management. More recently, she has spoken about the challenges of menopause, from fatigue to mood changes, all while maintaining her signature poise and discipline. Berry's commitment to health has become a central part of her life. Through diet, fitness, and mindfulness, she has managed her diabetes naturally for years, inspiring millions who live with similar conditions. She's an advocate for self-care and empowerment, often reminding her fans that wellness is not vanity, but survival. Even as her body changes with age, her spirit remains fierce. In interviews, she speaks candidly about embracing womanhood's evolution, the triumphs, the struggles, and the beauty of endurance. Her journey is not about escaping time, but mastering it. Halle Berry's story is one of determination and reinvention. From adversity to acclaim, she has faced every challenge, health, heartbreak, and Hollywood with courage and authenticity. Though she continues to manage chronic illness, she refuses to be defined by it. To her fans, she is more than a movie star. She is proof that resilience is the truest form of beauty and that strength once earned never fades. Hugh Jackman. At 56, Hugh Jackman remains a beacon of disciplined kindness and enduring star power. An actor whose career has blended action music and heart, like few others in modern cinema. Born on October 12, 1968 in Sydney, Australia, Jackman rose to international fame as Wolverine in X-Men 2000, a role that transformed him into one of Hollywood's most beloved leading men. Over 2 decades, he balanced blockbuster success with acclaimed performances in Les Miserables, The Prestige, and The Greatest Showman, earning global respect for his range and professionalism. Yet behind his magnetic smile and unstoppable work ethic, Jackman has quietly battled a recurring enemy, basal cell carcinoma, a common but potentially dangerous form of skin cancer. Since his first diagnosis in 2013, he has undergone multiple surgeries to remove cancerous spots from his nose, reminding fans of the toll fame and sunlight can take on even the strongest heroes. Jackman has used his platform to advocate for health awareness, urging people to wear sunscreen and seek regular skin checks. Despite the ongoing treatments, he refuses to let illness define his life. Friends and co-stars often speak of his optimism and humility, the same traits that have carried him through every challenge. He continues to perform, recently reprising his Wolverine role in Deadpool 3, and maintains his lifelong commitment to fitness, family, and philanthropy. His openness about vulnerability, especially as a man long admired for physical perfection, has made him a role model for authenticity and balance. Hugh Jackman's story is one of resilience, gratitude, and unwavering spirit. Though cancer remains a recurring battle, he faces it with courage and grace, turning pain into purpose. For millions, he's not just a superhero on screen, but a living example of strength, proving that even when the claws come off, the heart of a true fighter never stops shining. Catherine Zeta-Jones. At 55, Catherine Zeta-Jones remains one of cinema's most captivating and elegant stars. A performer whose beauty, talent, and poise have enchanted audiences for decades. Born on September 25, 1969 in Swansea, Wales, she first gained fame in British television before conquering Hollywood with dazzling performances in The Mask of Zorro 1998 and Chicago 2002, the latter earning her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Behind the glamour, however, lies a deeply personal and ongoing battle with mental health. Zeta-Jones has been open about her diagnosis of bipolar II disorder, a condition marked by cycles of depression and hypomania that can be emotionally exhausting. Her honesty about living with the illness has helped break stigma in an industry often defined by perfection, revealing a woman of extraordinary courage and vulnerability. Throughout her career, Zeta-Jones has shown an unyielding will to keep creating even during difficult times. Supported by her husband, actor Michael Douglas, she has learned to manage her condition through therapy, balance, and self-care. While her struggles once led to brief hospitalizations, she now speaks publicly about mental health awareness, advocating for compassion and understanding. Her willingness to address her challenges head-on has made her not just an actress admired for her artistry, but a role model for strength through honesty. Today, Catherine Zeta-Jones continues to thrive both personally and professionally. She has embraced new creative ventures in television and film, all while maintaining a close-knit family life and an aura of timeless sophistication. Though bipolar disorder remains a lifelong companion, she refuses to let it define her. Her journey reminds the world that grace is not the absence of struggle, but the ability to keep shining in its midst. For millions who admire her, Zeta-Jones stands as proof that resilience, like true beauty, never fades. Selma Blair. At 53, Selma Blair remains a beacon of bravery and vulnerability, a woman who has turned her personal battle into a symbol of hope for millions. Born on June 23, 1972 in Southfield, Michigan, Blair rose to fame in the late 1990s with memorable roles in Cruel Intentions, Legally Blonde, and Hellboy. Her dark wit and emotional honesty made her a standout among her peers. Yet behind the glamour of Hollywood, Blair has faced one of the toughest diagnoses imaginable. In 2018, she revealed she was living with multiple sclerosis (MS), a chronic autoimmune disease that attacks the central nervous system, affecting mobility, balance, and speech. Later, she was also diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a rare connective tissue disorder that causes joint pain and fatigue. For Blair, every step, every movement, and every day has become a quiet act of courage. Since going public with her illness, Blair has become an outspoken advocate for disability awareness. Her documentary introducing Selma Blair offered an unflinching look at her battle with MS, from painful physical therapy sessions to moments of raw vulnerability. Despite the challenges she has faced her condition with humor and grace, appearing on red carpets with a cane and a radiant smile that has inspired countless others. In 2021, she announced that her MS had entered remission following a stem cell transplant, though symptoms remain a constant presence in her life. Selma Blair's story is not defined by illness, but by resilience. She has transformed pain into purpose, breaking taboos around disability in Hollywood and redefining what strength looks like. Though her body may tremble, her spirit stands firm, fierce, unfiltered, and full of light. For audiences everywhere, Selma Blair is no longer just an actress. She's a symbol of courage, perseverance, and unshakable authenticity. Christina Applegate. At 53, Christina Applegate remains one of Hollywood's most resilient and beloved actresses, a performer whose humor and heart have touched audiences for decades. Born on November 25, 1971 in Los Angeles, California, Applegate grew up in front of the camera, winning fame as the rebellious yet lovable Kelly Bundy on Married with Children. Her career flourished with acclaimed performances in Anchorman, Dead to Me, and Samantha, showcasing her rare ability to balance sharp comedy with emotional depth. But behind her radiant smile and fearless wit lies an ongoing battle that has changed her life forever. In 2021, Applegate revealed that she had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis (MS), a chronic autoimmune disease that affects the nervous system and can lead to severe fatigue, mobility issues, and pain. Applegate's fight with MS has been public, raw, and deeply human. She has spoken openly about the toll the illness has taken on her body and confidence, from the difficulty of walking to the frustration of losing physical independence. Despite these challenges, she completed filming the final season of Dead to Me, earning praise for her courage and professionalism. Friends and co-stars describe her as brutally honest and fiercely funny, even in the darkest moments. "This is the first time anyone's seen me the way I am," she shared, emphasizing the importance of visibility and empathy for those living with invisible illnesses. Today, Christina Applegate focuses on her health and advocacy, using her platform to support MS research and raise awareness about chronic illness. Though she may no longer appear on screen as often, her legacy of strength continues to grow. Her story is not one of defeat, but of perseverance, a reminder that even in pain, authenticity and humor can light the way. Christina Applegate remains above all a fighter, strong, candid, and unforgettable. James Van Der Beek. At 48, James Van Der Beek remains a familiar face to millions who grew up watching him as the introspective Dawson Leary on Dawson's Creek. Born on March 8, 1977 in Cheshire, Connecticut, Van Der Beek became a defining voice of teenage television in the late 1990s, his emotional depth and sincerity setting him apart from his peers. Over the years, he expanded his career through roles in Varsity Blues, Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23, and Pose, showing remarkable versatility. Yet behind his calm demeanor and enduring smile, Van Der Beek has recently faced a devastating health challenge, a private but difficult battle with stage 3 colorectal cancer. Reports of his illness, shared in recent updates, describe a long treatment process, including surgery and chemotherapy, which he has endured with quiet courage and determination. Throughout his fight, Van Der Beek has remained a devoted husband and father, often sharing glimpses of his life and reflections on gratitude with his fans. Known for his mindfulness and spiritual outlook, he has spoken about confronting fear and embracing vulnerability in the face of mortality. Even as treatment has tested his strength, his optimism and sense of purpose remain undiminished. He has credited his family, particularly his wife Kimberly and their 6 children, for giving him the will to keep moving forward one day at a time. James Van Der Beek's journey is one of resilience, humility, and hope. Though his illness has forced him to slow down, it has also deepened his appreciation for life's simplest gifts: health, love, and presence. For fans who once saw him as the dreamer on screen, his real-life story now carries even greater power. He stands not only as an actor, but as a reminder that strength is found not in avoiding hardship, but in facing it with faith, honesty, and grace. Tom Hardy. At 48, Tom Hardy remains one of modern cinema's most compelling and enigmatic talents. An actor known for his raw power, emotional depth, and complete immersion into every role. Born on September 15, 1977 in Hammersmith, London, Hardy has built an extraordinary career defined by transformation. From Bronson and Inception to Mad Max Fury Road, The Dark Knight Rises, and Venom. His performances have consistently balanced ferocity with vulnerability. Yet behind the intensity that defines his on-screen persona, Hardy has been quietly managing chronic injuries and long-term pain, the lingering effects of years spent performing his own stunts and intense physical training. Decades of demanding roles have left him with spinal and shoulder injuries, nerve damage, and chronic joint inflammation conditions he now carefully monitors as he continues to work. Hardy's commitment to his craft has often come at great personal cost. Known for extreme transformations from rapid weight gain for Bronson to brutal fight training for Warrior and The Dark Knight Rises. He pushed his body beyond its limits, later admitting that the physical toll was not sustainable. In recent interviews, he has acknowledged the ongoing effects of those choices, describing how his body hurts in places it never used to. Despite the pain, Hardy remains active in the industry, focusing on projects that challenge him artistically rather than physically. His dedication to storytelling, poetry, and his family life with wife Charlotte Riley and their children continues to ground him through recovery and reflection. Tom Hardy's journey is one of endurance and evolution. Though chronic injury has slowed him, it has also deepened his artistry. No longer just the tough anti-hero, he has become a symbol of quiet resilience, proof that true strength lies not in physical perfection but in the courage to keep going, even when the body begins to break. Justin Timberlake. At 44, Justin Timberlake remains one of the most multifaceted entertainers of his generation, a singer, songwriter, and actor who effortlessly bridges pop superstardom with cinematic success. Born on January 31, 1981 in Memphis, Tennessee, Timberlake first captured hearts as a member of NSYNC before launching a solo career that redefined modern pop music. With hits like Cry Me a River Mirrors and Can't Stop the Feeling, he became a global phenomenon, collecting 10 Grammy Awards and multiple acting credits in acclaimed films such as The Social Network and Inside Llewyn Davis. Yet behind the spotlight and smooth performances, Timberlake has faced a challenging long-term health condition, Lyme disease, a tick-borne illness that affects energy, joint strength, and neurological function. Diagnosed several years ago, Timberlake has managed recurring symptoms, including fatigue, muscle pain, and inflammation struggles he has kept mostly private while maintaining his demanding career. Sources close to the artist describe his daily focus on health, incorporating specialized treatments, clean nutrition, and consistent rest to manage flare-ups. Despite the illness, Timberlake continues to perform, tour, and record, proving that passion and discipline can coexist with vulnerability. His journey has also deepened his empathy and mindfulness, leading him to speak occasionally about the importance of self-care in an industry that glorifies perfection. Today, Timberlake balances music, acting, and family life with his wife, actress Jessica Biel, and their 2 sons. While Lyme disease remains a persistent challenge, he faces it with resilience and quiet strength. His story is a reminder that even the brightest stars are human, and that true artistry often comes from perseverance in the face of pain. Justin Timberlake may fight an invisible battle, but his voice, creativity, and light continue to inspire millions around the world. Selena Gomez. At 33, Selena Gomez stands as one of the most admired and resilient figures in modern entertainment. A woman who has turned her pain into purpose and her vulnerability into power. Born on July 22, 1992 in Grand Prairie, Texas, Gomez began her career as a child star on Barney and Friends before capturing the world's attention in Disney's Wizards of Waverly Place. From there, she evolved into a global pop sensation with hits like Lose You to Love Me and Calm Down, while also proving her dramatic range in projects such as Only Murders in the Building. Yet behind her success, Gomez has endured a complex web of chronic illnesses, including lupus kidney complications, bipolar disorder, and small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO. Her health struggles have tested her physically and emotionally, but they have also made her one of the most honest and inspiring public figures of her generation. Diagnosed with lupus in 2014, Gomez underwent a kidney transplant in 2017 with her close friend Francia Raisa serving as the donor. The operation saved her life but required years of recovery and emotional adjustment. Alongside her autoimmune illness, she continues to manage her mental health with openness and strength, speaking publicly about her bipolar disorder and the stigma surrounding it. Through documentaries like Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me, she has shown fans the reality behind fame, anxiety, exhaustion, and the daily effort to keep going despite pain. Today, Selena Gomez uses her platform to advocate for mental health and chronic illness awareness through her foundation, Rare Impact Fund. Though her health journey remains ongoing, she faces it with resilience, compassion, and grace. Her story is a living testament to endurance proof that even in fragility there can be brilliance. For millions worldwide, Selena isn't just a star. She's a survivor who continues to shine softly yet unbreakably. Nick Jonas. At 33, Nick Jonas remains one of the most talented and determined entertainers of his generation. A singer-songwriter and actor whose journey from teen idol to global superstar has been marked by both triumph and tenacity. Born on September 16, 1992 in Dallas, Texas, Jonas first captured hearts as part of the Jonas Brothers, the Disney-born band that dominated pop music in the 2000s. As the group evolved and later reunited, Nick distinguished himself as a solo artist with hits like Jealous and Close, and as an actor in Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle and Kingdom. Yet behind the charisma and confidence lies a lifelong battle with type 1 diabetes, a chronic autoimmune condition he was diagnosed with at just 13 years old. For Jonas, every performance, every tour, and every day begins with the careful balance of managing his blood sugar and health. Rather than hide his diagnosis, Jonas has turned it into a platform for empowerment. He has spoken openly about the fear and isolation he felt as a young teenager learning to live with the disease, and how discipline and awareness became his greatest tools. In 2015, he co-founded Beyond Type 1, a non-profit organization that provides resources and community support for people living with diabetes. Through his advocacy, Jonas has helped transform perception, proving that illness does not define ability. His openness has inspired countless young fans facing similar challenges to take control of their health and dreams. Today, Nick Jonas continues to thrive both personally and professionally, balancing life as a performer, husband, and father while managing his condition with unwavering strength. His journey is a story of resilience and responsibility, a reminder that real power lies not in perfection, but in perseverance. Though he lives with a chronic illness, Nick Jonas's determination, discipline, and optimism ensure his star will keep burning bright. In the end, these stories remind us that even legends are human, fragile, resilient, and endlessly inspiring. From triumph to tragedy, each life reflects the courage it takes to face time's quiet battle. Whether through laughter, music, or unforgettable performances, these icons have left behind more than fame. They've left lessons in strength and grace. As we honor their journeys, we also celebrate the light they continue to shine. This is not a farewell, but a reflection. Because true greatness never dies, it only evolves. Thank you for watching.